Okay, here we are, another great interview, and this is going to be super helpful because we're kind of cross-interviewing each other. So I'm going to introduce myself and just going to let Annette and Jessica introduce themselves. So I am Kristen Zames. I own Oceanside Physical Therapy, and we treat all sorts of pelvic floor dysfunction, mostly adults. So we'll talk about kind of how we cross in the teen years. But our office is very zen, as Annette has pointed out. We don't have cool toys. We have kids of our own. I like my own kids, but I prefer treating adults at work or someone that's almost an adult. So that's what we do. And so then I'm going to kind of like Brady Bunch the way my circles or squares go. So Annette, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Annette Thomas. I'm a pediatric physical therapist that's more recently gotten into the pelvic floor with peds. I own Power Up Physical Therapy and Fitness and am the co-founder of the Constipation Gurus with Jessica. We treat primarily constipation and caprices, enuresis, bedwetting, all those good things. And we do have a gym at the office. So we have those toys, Cristin, there and little things.
Way more fun, her office.
But hers is so much more calming and beautiful, but still. Yeah, so it's a fun place for the kids and the parents, a lot of space. And then I have teamed up with Jessica.
Yeah, so I'm Jessica O'Connell. I'm a registered dietitian. I am the other half of the Constipation Gurus, and then I also own Jessica O'Connell Nutrition. And Annette and our constipation clinic is located in Epping, New Hampshire. And I work with the kids on softening the stool, checking their diet and fluids, making sure that we don't have a food allergy or sensitivity that we're dealing with when it comes to constipation. And, you know, Annette and I have really found that the combination of nutrition with the pelvic floor therapy has really, really helped constipated kids significantly. And then we do have a behavioral specialist that sometimes we consult as well. So we kind of really try to hit the whole aspect of constipation with kids.
Yeah, I am so excited that you guys teamed up and that you're together, and it's such a great holistic approach. For years in this area, because we were the pelvic floor experts, we would have to treat kids, but and we could give some basic education to the parents and the kid, but it just wasn't to the level that really could help the family. And so what you all have going on is so nice, because when we get calls, which we do, we know who to send them to, and then you all get calls as well. Which brings me to ask, why do you think, I mean, I have my own opinions in the adult sphere, but like, why is this such a therapy that is unknown, or why is this new? Why haven't people really specialized this, and why are the only two people who do this in like the New England area? Like, what do you think why is it that way? Jessica, go. I'll
go ahead, Jessica.
You want me? Okay. So I think part of the challenge is there's so many reasons kids are constipated. You know, they might have a food allergy or sensitivity that hasn't been diagnosed. They might have had a painful stool, and that kind of psychologically set the tone to start holding. Our diets just aren't great anymore. You know, very rarely I'm working with kids that have diets that are low on processed foods, high in produce, high in whole grains and fiber and that kind of thing. I think especially with COVID and so many kids doing remote learning, we're sitting a lot more than we ever did, and activity plays a huge role in it. So I think one of the biggest challenges is just there's so many reasons a child could be constipated that there aren't enough people to kind of like come in and say, let's get to the bottom of it. Yeah. Pediatricians are amazing, but they're general practitioners usually. And so they aren't really digging into the root cause of the constipation. And so you have a lot of kids that end up on a laxative, and it doesn't necessarily ever improve the situation. It might help for the short term, but it never improves the situation. Annette, do you have any other thoughts?
Well, I was just going to say why there aren't many of us. This wasn't even a topic when I was in PT school. Pelvic health, we never had any of this. And I think women's health came out first, and then peds kind of, so I'm starting to see it a little bit more now. And I definitely didn't go into PT school wanting to be a pelvic floor therapist. That wasn't on my radar at all. So it wasn't until I had my own child with it that I realized how awesome it could be. Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more root causes, like the sensory processing issues. We get a lot of kiddos like that, the interoception, the painful experiences. And like Jess said, like Miralax is usually the common cure for these things that's prescribed, but I'll give you an example of like if we have a withholder. Jess and I see this a lot. They come in and they have Miralax, but it's not going to change the fact that they're withholding. It's never going to cure that problem. So we usually try to get down to why they're withholding and get down to that problem and then work from there. So I just, yeah.
I'm interested to hear like some of the differences with COVID. I mean, you said one of them. I guess part of me was thinking, I wonder with access to the toilet, if some kids have improved.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
I think the parents, they're home with the parents now, so they can actually monitor and like see, oh my gosh, they really don't drink any water all day. Yeah. So now they can kind of monitor and see what their kid's doing. They know when they're going to the bathroom because they're home. So when a child comes home and says, yeah, I went to the bathroom at school today, did they really? We don't know. So now mom can actually see, she can see what the stool looks like. So I think for a lot of kids, it's been a good thing that they were home.
Yeah. And a lot of kids won't go to the bathroom at school. So that has helped with that. I have one client that I've been working with, though. The mom actually told me that the accidents are what motivate her daughter to not continue having accidents, almost like the embarrassment of having an accident at school. And so she said, COVID has actually made it worse because she's having accidents at home, and to have an accident at home is not embarrassing, right? Like you're in your own environment, you can easily get cleaned up and changed. But having an accident at school can be very motivating for some kids. So it's helped for some, and it's made things more complicated for others, I think.
Yeah, the psychology behind the why is a massive part of the issue, and it has to be addressed for sure. Mm-hmm. I think in my world, I think that, it started out sort of now, oh, women's health, like only women have a pelvic floor, but obviously, well, maybe it isn't obvious, but men have pelvic floors as well. And now, we treat all genders, and it's really pelvic floor dysfunction. And it's interesting why this area of the body has just been skipped. And I think culturally, it's just because there's sexual function in this area. There's a lot of reasons. It's just, we can't talk about it, and it might be shameful. And so it's just skipped, and it's been skipped in medicine too. And there's a lot of, female reasons too, like cultural norms of, pain is normal, leakage is normal, like normalizing a lot of symptoms. So I think that what's happening now is there's people just waking up and saying, wait a second, this I think there's an awakening in healthcare too, of just having this experience of saying, no, actually my symptoms are real and they're bothering me. And so that's what I want to address. And it doesn't matter if you feel as a provider like that you can't fix it. It's bothersome. And so that these different specialties have sprouted up to help people in a different way than traditional allopathic medicine has been able to do, with kind of that find it, fix it pill mentality. So I think it's very encouraging, because I think that there's more holistic avenues that are being pursued because it works, and there's so much that doesn't work, and people are sick of being in this category of just given another pill which that's what Miralax is. I mean, all these pills can be helpful at certain points, but you know, they're not the root cause, they're not the why. So
Right.
I think it's a very similar, you know, path that has led to people being ignored in this area for sure. So why don't you all tell me, if somebody wants to work with you all, give me how does that happen?
So if the kiddo is located in New Hampshire or local to New Hampshire, meaning they are probably in Massachusetts or Maine and could drive to see us in Epping, we love working with kids hands-on. So that means that they would have visits with myself, they would have visits with Annette, and then Annette and I collaborate and talk about every single kiddo we work with to make sure that we're really like giving those kids the right plan. We all know two heads are better than one. So even though, you know, I'm the dietitian, sometimes I go to Annette and I'll say, well, this is what I'm doing and it's not working. And sometimes Annette still has like some nutrition intervention or suggestion, like, what, have you tried this or whatever, and vice versa. You know, Annette's the pelvic floor therapist, but, you know, I've done research and learned as well. And sometimes we kind of help one another kind of figure out all of the pieces. And like I said, that brings a lot of really good health and healing to these kids. So we accept most major insurances. Nutrition services are actually covered by most insurances completely at no charge. So it doesn't even hit a patient's deductible, which is really kind of unique. Not all insurances, but most of them. So that's one way to work with us, is to come see us in the Constipation Clinic at Therapy Square in Epping. And then we also have another way to work with us. Annette, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. We have an online presence called the Constipation Gurus. So we do have a Facebook page where we provide just general information and facts. With that, we have a private Facebook group. We have monthly subscriptions, 3 months, yearly. We also offer virtual consults. So anywhere in the world, we offer the virtual consults. It's all on our website, constipationgurus.com. And you can get the virtual consult with 3 months of our Facebook group where we kind of follow along and help you through there. So it's just a more intimate group where Jess and I are pretty active in answering questions and, you know, working.
That's so helpful because I know as a parent, you can get up a sort of a formula of here's what to do, but to actually make that happen in your household can be very challenging. It's like, you know, a lifestyle change, whether it's nutrition or routines, different habits, and you need support doing that, and you need strategies because sometimes a sticker chart works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, it's like what else? What are, you know, tools? We just need lots of tools because each recipe is going to be totally unique.
Right. And that's the beauty of our subscription group, is that there's other parents who are walking in these shoes with one another and have suggestions and things that they've tried that have really worked and things that haven't worked at all. We do like to keep the group smaller so that everyone's getting a lot of attention. Annette and I are on there all day throughout the day answering questions, which is really unique. Like if you called the doctor, you would wait at least 24 hours probably for a phone call back. So you're getting, you know, professionals right there at your fingertips. We also bring on guest speakers occasionally. So this month we actually have our behavioral analyst jumping on with us this Thursday to talk about the behavior side of withholding. Next month we have a woman who writes social stories and really helps explain to children why we should poop, how we should poop, why we should not hold our poop, those kinds of things. So we're bringing in other experts in the field to also kind of talk and educate all of us on this topic, which is, again, pretty unique, I think.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So at Oceanside, I think we started talking too. Often we'll collaborate if a kid is puberty age, you know. I think that it depends which scenario will fit better. I think the nutrition services are always a helpful addition. But does that kid like to be seen as a little bit more of a grown-up? We have a lot of other information too that we can add from period health and normalizing their cycles, although it's going to be erratic at that time, but even just being aware of it and all of the aspects that go into period health, which lo and behold helps pooping as well. So it's kind of like all the things, when they work well together, they all work. We would definitely be comfortable with those sort of like teens and after puberty. But at our office, we do take insurance, but not all insurances. And unfortunately, that's great that nutrition is covered, but that's really not how the pelvic floor game is played in the insurance world. So just like it doesn't exist in medicine a little bit, I don't feel like insurance companies know what to do with it either. So it's a tough place to be sometimes, but we have somebody at our company that will really help you figure out what is covered. We try to get as much of it covered as possible, but we have other avenues so that you don't have to think every time you have a service, how much is this going to cost? Do I really need this? Because most of these symptoms are, you need some pretty deep transformation in your nutrition, your lifestyle, your habits, your stress, that sort of thing. So I have a coaching program that is mostly for women 40s and beyond, where we do a lot of work around sleep and basics in nutrition and exercise, and really understanding how optimizing your health at this time in your life is super essential for longevity. In that perimenopause phase, to ovulate is really like the healthiest thing you can do. And if you're not, ovulating is sort of like my pooping. Like, are you pooping? Did you poop? It's like, I'm like, did you ovulate? Are you ovulating? Do you know if you ovulated? When did you ovulate? You know, how do you know? And again, because women have not really been given this information, a lot of us are pretty lost. And it, you know, I didn't know anything about it until I started looking at it, other than like, did I get my period or not? So we have appointments where if you have leakage, if you have a prolapse, if you have incontinence, if you have pain, and really a lot of hip pain and back pain is a pelvic floor dysfunction. So we do quite a bit of that. So we have sort of more that traditional therapy route, but we also offer a lot of, like, we have a training app that we work with people, and that's a little bit more, that's more of a subscription base. And so that helps people with accountability, coaching, habits, water, meditation, motivation. But then also we can really personalize an exercise program. So some of that you might get with your PT sessions, and we can send you with a video or a piece of paper or things like that. But we have kind of like that next level because we know how much of this requires support. And then we have like more detailed coaching programs. So because insurance is not like, sure, you deserve this, we're going to give you all of it, which we all kind of feel like that's what insurance should be, but it's totally not. So I kind of think about insurance now as like going to the dentist or the orthodontist. Like, you might get a couple bucks thrown at you, but really, and even probably in your realm, the full gamut of what you need is probably not going to be covered. And so if you can think more for your own health, like, what do I need? And then what can I get from like financially to help me with what I need, so that you really get towards your goal. And that's really what we do pretty well at Oceanside, is like, where do you want to go? Not like, oh, you leak, I want to help you stop leaking. Because that's, yes, you do, but it's probably something bigger than that. It's like, can you not play with your kids? Did you want to do a 5K? Are you afraid to have sex because you're leaking? It's always something deeper. It's like, what's the why behind it? And if we can find the why behind it, then it can be pretty transformational. And RPT is not like, if you've ever been to physical therapy, you might think of it like this open gym and people exercising. Like, we have a pretty bad brand, and like, that's not what it is. We have private rooms. It's very intimate. It's private. It's Zen art. We have like Himalayan salt lamps, and it's like a very Zen environment. Like, relaxing. So it is relaxing because stress is pretty much what we deal with every day, which is a big factor in just about all of our dysfunctions deep down. So that's what we do. If we are not the people that can help you the best, we pretty much know who is, which is why we're working together, because when 3-year-olds come in our office and there's like hazards everywhere, I can now send them to Annette and Jessica, and they have a much more specific experience to that kid.
Well, I know I've also reached out to you, Kristen, when I had an older teenager and saying, do you work with these kids or not? So we can figure out, like Kristen was saying, are they better off at the peds place or the adults? And it just really depends on the kid. So I know I've reached out to say, do you work with teenagers? And she does. So yeah, it is a good change.
Yeah. So any parting words, any pieces of info that you'd like people to know about your collaboration or how to reach out to you?
I don't think so. I mean, constipationgurus.com is probably the best place to find us. We have a contact link there, or Constipation Gurus for Kids on Facebook. That's another great way to reach us. But we're here whenever you need us. Yeah.
Yes, and we as well. So Oceanside Physical Therapy is oceansidept.com. We're on Facebook. I have an Instagram profile. You can message me there. You can call the office. And we do like discovery type visits too, because if somebody is really interested but not quite sure if they fit, I think it's really worth just having like a 30-minute conversation and just let me hear your story, because I can tell you either why we can help or what my best suggestion would be prior to us. And I think that is, even 30 minutes you'll probably never get at a primary care's office, just because they're so strapped for time and they're under such productivity standards, which is unfortunate, but that's how it is. All right, well, adults, here's how to help your kids. Kids, adults, we can all help each other, and hopefully everybody's pelvic floor in the seacoast, from kids to adults, is just happy pelvic floors. That should be our new website.
Yeah.
seacoasthappypelvicfloors.com. All right, thank you so much for doing this, and everybody have a great week.
All right. Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks, Kristen. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for watching that video. Please hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more of those videos and keep learning on how to read your body. Have a great day.